The ultimatum arrives. Admiral Chenwei was reviewing morning reports when the alarms began echoing through the Luna Station command center. The coffee in his mug rippled as the station's massive engines adjusted their position. Chen had been expecting something like this for months, but seeing it happen still sent adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Admiral, we have multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace," Lieutenant Commander Torres called from the sensor station. Her voice carried the controlled tension of someone trying to remain professional while witnessing the impossible. "Sir, these readings, they're massive." Chen moved swiftly to the main display, his weathered face reflecting the blue glow of the tactical screen. After 30 years in Earth's Defense Command, he had seen plenty of unexpected situations, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The display showed 17 enormous vessels materializing at the edge of the solar system, each one dwarfing Earth's largest space stations. Dr. Elena Vasquez rushed into the command center, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. As Earth's chief science officer, she had been monitoring strange energy readings for weeks. "Admiral, the quantum signatures match nothing in our databases. These ships are using technology we can barely comprehend." "How long until they reach Earth?" Chen asked, studying the alien fleet's formation. Each ship appeared to be the size of a small city, their hull designs unlike anything humanity had ever imagined. "At their current speed, approximately 6 hours, Torres replied. "But sir, they're not moving toward Earth. They're holding position." Chen nodded grimly. He had studied every historical first contact scenario Earth's strategists could imagine. A fleet that size taking a defensive position meant one thing: they wanted to talk before they acted. The question was whether humanity would like what they had to say. "Open a channel to Earth Command. Priority Alpha," Chen ordered. "And get me President Santos immediately." Within minutes, the secured communication link connected Luna Station to the Global Defense Council on Earth. President Maria Santos appeared on the main screen, her expression grave but determined. Behind her, Chen could see the other world leaders gathering in the emergency session chamber. "Admiral Chen, what's our situation?" President Santos asked without preamble. She had been elected partly because of her steady leadership during crisis situations, and this moment would test every skill she possessed. 17 unknown vessels, each measuring over 5 kilometers in length. They appeared simultaneously using technology we don't understand, and they're holding position at the system's edge. "I believe they're waiting to establish communication." President Santos exchanged glances with someone off-screen. "Any signs of hostile intent?" "Not yet, ma'am. But a fleet this size doesn't travel across the galaxy just to say hello." Before President Santos could respond, every communication system in the solar system activated simultaneously. The alien signal bypassed every security protocol Earth had developed, appearing on screens from Luna Station to the smallest research outpost on Mars. The image that appeared was both magnificent and terrifying. The creature addressing humanity stood nearly 3 meters tall, with silver-scaled skin that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Its 4 arms moved with fluid grace, while 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows regarded Earth with obvious superiority. "Inhabitants of the 3rd planet," the being began, its voice carrying an otherworldly resonance that seemed to vibrate through the very walls of Luna Station. "I am Overlord Kythera, first speaker of the Nexus Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our dominion." Chen felt his jaw tighten. Integration. Not negotiation, not diplomatic contact, but integration. The alien's words carried the casual confidence of someone accustomed to absolute obedience. "For 12,000 of your years, the Nexus Empire has brought order to this galaxy," Kythera continued. "We have unified over 8,000 worlds under our guidance, bringing peace and prosperity to countless species. Your turn has arrived." The Overlord paused, allowing its words to sink in. Chen noticed that despite the alien's confident tone, its 6 eyes seemed to be analyzing everything they could see through the communication link. You will surrender your military forces within 72 of your hours. Your governments will dissolve, and your species will accept placement within the Empire's administrative structure. Those who demonstrate useful skills will find rewarding positions. Those who resist will find only correction. President Santos stepped forward, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the situation. Overlord Kithura, humanity appreciates your introduction. However, we must respectfully decline your... The silence that followed seemed to stretch across the vacuum of space. Chen watched as Kithura's 6 eyes widened slightly, the first sign that the alien had not expected Earth's response. You decline. Kithura's voice carried a note of genuine confusion. Perhaps your translation systems have malfunctioned. I did not make an offer. I announced your integration into the Empire. We understand perfectly, President Santos replied calmly. And our answer remains no. Chen felt a surge of pride watching Earth's leader stand firm against an obviously superior force. This was the moment that would define humanity's future, and President Santos was meeting it head-on. Kithura's scaled features shifted into what might have been amusement. Your world possesses primitive chemical rockets and basic fusion technology. Our least powerful vessel could eliminate your entire civilization within moments. You cannot seriously intend to resist. Dr. Vasquez stepped beside Chen and whispered urgently, Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy buildups in their weapon systems. They're preparing to demonstrate their firepower. Overlord Kithura, President Santos continued, you've made several assumptions about Earth that may not be accurate. We suggest you reconsider your approach. Assumptions. Kithura's 4 arms gestured dismissively. We have observed your world for months. Your technology is infantile compared to ours. Your species lacks unity, fighting amongst yourselves over trivial resources. What assumptions have we made? Chen smiled grimly. The aliens had been watching Earth, but they had been watching the surface. They had seen humanity's public face, not the preparations that had been hidden in deep space, underground facilities, and quantum-shielded installations that even Earth's own population didn't know existed. The assumption, President Santos said quietly, that humanity would surrender without a fight. At that moment, something extraordinary happened. Across Earth's solar system, installations that had been invisible suddenly revealed themselves. Defense platforms materialized as their cloaking systems deactivated. Weapon arrays emerged from asteroid fields where they had been perfectly camouflaged. Ships that registered as civilian vessels suddenly displayed military-grade offensive capabilities. Kithura's 6 eyes darted rapidly as the alien fleet's sensors detected the changes. Chen watched the Overlord's confident expression shift to something approaching concern. This is impossible, Kithura stated, but the certainty had left its voice. Our sensors detected no military installations of this magnitude. Captain Rex Thompson's gruff voice crackled through the communication system from his position aboard the stealth ship Defiance. That's because you weren't supposed to detect them. Surprise is kind of the point. Chen activated his command interface, bringing Earth's hidden defenses online. For 50 years, humanity had been preparing for this day. Not because they knew aliens existed, but because they knew that if aliens existed, first contact might not be friendly. Overlord Kithura, President Santos said, her voice now carrying a harder edge. Humanity has been watching the stars for centuries. We've always known that someday, someone might come calling. We decided long ago that when that day arrived, we would be ready. The alien fleet suddenly found itself surrounded by defensive installations that had materialized from seemingly empty space. Weapons platforms that dwarfed anything the aliens had expected to find were now tracking their vessels. Ships that had appeared to be simple cargo haulers revealed themselves as heavily armed warships. Kithura's scaled features hardened. Clever deception, humans. But deception cannot overcome reality. Your weapons, however cleverly hidden, cannot match the power of the Nexus Empire. Maybe not, Chen interjected, but we're not planning to fight fair. Dr. Vasquez activated her quantum analysis systems, studying the alien vessels with instruments the Nexus Empire had never encountered. "Admiral, I'm detecting something interesting about their fleet composition. They're not configured for prolonged combat. These ships are designed for intimidation and occupation, not warfare." President Santos nodded to someone off-screen. "Overlord Kithura, you mentioned that you've integrated 8,000 worlds. How many of those worlds fought back?" The alien silence provided the answer. "None," President Santos continued, "because you choose targets that will surrender rather than fight. You've built an empire on intimidation, not military superiority. That's why your ships are so large and impressive, but not necessarily optimized for battle. You make the mistake of believing that size equals strength," President Santos said. "But humans learned long ago that the biggest opponent isn't always the strongest. Sometimes determination matters more than raw power." Kithara's forearms gestured angrily. "Your defiance changes nothing. Even if you resist, even if you inflict casualties, you cannot win. The Empire will send more fleets, larger fleets, until your world submits. That assumes," Chen said quietly, "that you'll be able to report back what happened here." The silence that followed was deafening. Chen could see Kithara processing the implications of his words. The alien overlord was beginning to realize that humanity's response was unlike anything the Nexus Empire had encountered. President Santos stepped forward one final time. "Overlord Kithara, let me be clear. Earth's answer is no. We will not surrender. We will not submit. And if you try to force us, you'll discover that humans have spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare. We're very good at it." The communication link ended abruptly as the alien fleet began repositioning themselves into what appeared to be attack formations. Chen felt the familiar calm that came before battle, the moment when all the planning and preparation would finally be tested. "All stations, this is Admiral Chen," he announced across all channels. "Condition red. All personnel to battle stations. Today, we show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens Earth." As Luna Station's crew rushed to their positions, Chen looked out at the stars where 17 alien warships were preparing to teach humanity its place in the galaxy. But humanity had its own lessons to share, and class was about to begin. Humanity's hidden strength. Commander Sarah Blake watched the tactical display with intense focus as the Nexus Empire fleet moved into attack position. From her command ship, the Wellington, she coordinated Earth's space-based defenses while trying to keep her heart rate under control. 20 years of training had led to this moment, and she was determined not to let humanity down. "Ma'am, the alien vessels are charging their primary weapons," reported Lieutenant Davis from the sensor station. "Energy readings are off the charts." Sarah nodded calmly. "All ships, implement Protocol 7. Let's show our guests what human engineering can accomplish." Across the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet began to move. Ships that had masqueraded as asteroid mining operations revealed their true nature as mobile battle platforms. Others that had appeared to be simple cargo vessels dropped their disguises and displayed weapon arrays that made even the alien ships look vulnerable. Dr. Marcus Kim activated his communication link from the Deep Space Research Facility, hidden within Europa's ice shell. "Commander Blake, all quantum disruptor arrays are online. We're ready to demonstrate our little surprise." "Understood, Dr. Kim. Remember, we want to disable, not destroy. Let's see if we can change their minds before this gets too messy." The first Nexus vessel, a massive dreadnought easily 5 times the size of Earth's largest warship, fired what appeared to be some kind of plasma cannon. The energy beam screamed across space toward one of Earth's defense platforms, a burst of destruction that should have vaporized the target instantly. Instead, the beam struck an invisible barrier and dissipated harmlessly. The defense platform remained untouched, protected by technology the Nexus Empire had never encountered. "Energy shields holding at 97%, Dr. Kim reported with obvious satisfaction. "Their weapons are powerful, but they're using brute force rather than precision. Our adaptive shielding can handle it." Commander Blake smiled grimly. For decades, human scientists had studied every piece of information they could gather about potential alien technology. They had developed defenses based on theoretical physics and worst-case scenarios. Today, those theories were proving remarkably accurate. Overlord Kithera's voice crackled across all communication channels, no longer carrying its earlier confidence. "Impossible. Your primitive shields cannot withstand Imperial firepower." "Actually, they can." General Patricia Rodriguez responded from Earth's Surface Command Center. "You see, we've had a long time to think about this problem. While you've been conquering worlds that surrender immediately, we've been preparing for a fight." The second wave of alien attacks came from multiple ships simultaneously, concentrating their fire on what they assumed were Earth's most critical installations. Once again, the human defenses held, absorbing and deflecting energy that should have been overwhelming. But the real surprise came when Earth began to fight back. Captain Rex Thompson's voice came through the communication system from his position aboard the stealth ship Defiance. "All units, this is Phantom Lead. Beginning surgical strikes. Remember, we want to disable their engines and weapons, not annihilate them." What happened next defied everything the Nexus Empire understood about warfare. Instead of massive displays of destructive power, Earth's response was precise, calculated, and devastatingly effective. Small, fast ships that the alien sensors could barely detect began targeting specific systems on the Imperial vessels. The lead Nexus dreadnought suddenly found its weapon arrays failing one by one as human torpedoes, no larger than shuttlecraft, delivered precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses that overloaded the alien systems without causing permanent damage to the ship itself. "This is impossible," Kithera transmitted, its 6 eyes wide with disbelief as its flagship began losing functionality. "No species has ever fought us like this." Ambassador Zexful, the Nexus Empire's military advisor, appeared beside Kithera in the transmission. The being's scaled features showed confusion and growing concern. "Overlord, their tactics are unlike anything in our database. They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to capture us." Dr. Elena Vasquez activated her deep space communication array from Luna Station. "That's correct, Ambassador. Humans have a saying, 'Know your enemy.' We'd rather study you than destroy you. Destruction teaches us nothing." The battle, if it could be called that, continued for 2 hours. Earth's forces systematically disabled the Imperial fleet's offensive capabilities, while avoiding casualties on either side. It was a demonstration of technological sophistication and tactical thinking that left the Nexus Empire's representatives speechless. Commander Blake coordinated the final phase of Earth's response. "All units, begin boarding procedures. Let's introduce ourselves properly to our guests." Human boarding craft, so small they appeared almost insignificant next to the massive alien vessels, began docking with the disabled Imperial ships. But these weren't invasion forces. They were diplomatic teams, scientists, and medical personnel. Dr. Kim's voice carried excitement as he reported from his boarding team. "Commander, you need to see this. The alien technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also incredibly specialized. They've optimized everything for intimidation and rapid conquest, but they've never needed to adapt to unexpected situations." Captain Thompson's team reported similar findings from another vessel. "Ma'am, I've been talking with some of the crew members. They're not soldiers in the sense that we understand. They're more like administrators. They've never actually fought a war." The implications of this discovery rippled through Earth's command structure. The Nexus Empire hadn't built a military force. They had built an occupation force designed to control worlds that had already surrendered. President Santos opened a communication channel to the disabled Imperial flagship. "Overlord Kithera, I believe we need to have a more productive conversation." When Kithera appeared on screen again, the alien's demeanor had changed completely. The arrogant confidence was gone, replaced by something approaching respect. Your species is unexpected, President Santos. In 12,000 years, the Empire has never encountered resistance like this. Because you've never encountered humans before, General Rodriguez interjected. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years, perfecting the art of warfare. When we finally stopped fighting among ourselves, we turned all that knowledge toward preparing for external threats. Dr. Vasquez added, we've been studying theoretical alien contact scenarios for over a century. We knew that if someone came calling, they might not be friendly. So we prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Ambassador Zexthal spoke up, its voice carrying a note of genuine curiosity. But why did you not simply surrender? Your world could have found a place within the Empire. Many species have prospered under our guidance. Commander Blake answered from her position on the Wellington. Because humans don't surrender. It's not in our nature. When someone tells us we can't do something, we prove them wrong. When someone threatens us, we fight back. When someone assumes we're weak, we show them our strength. But more than that, President Santos continued, we've spent our entire history learning to cooperate when faced with external threats. Every human on this planet, regardless of nationality, religion, or background, stands united when someone threatens our home. Overlord Kithera's six eyes studied the human leaders with newfound interest. Your unity is impressive. Most species fragment under pressure. They seek individual survival rather than collective resistance. That's because you've never dealt with humans, Captain Thompson said with a slight grin. We're stubborn, we're creative, and we don't know when to quit. It's both our greatest weakness and our greatest strength. Dr. Kim transmitted data from his analysis of the alien technology. Overlord, your Empire's technology is remarkable, but it's built on the assumption that overwhelming force equals victory. Our technology is built on the assumption that we'll always be outnumbered and outgunned, so we have to be smarter. The alien fleet hung motionless in space, their weapons disabled but their crews unharmed. It was a demonstration of human capability that spoke louder than any threat could have. What happens now? Ambassador Zexthal asked quietly. President Santos exchanged glances with her advisors before responding. Now we talk. Real diplomatic contact, not ultimatums. You've learned that Earth won't be conquered, and we've learned that we're not alone in the galaxy. Perhaps we can find common ground. Kithera's scaled features shifted into what might have been thoughtfulness. The Empire has never negotiated with a world before integration. This situation is unprecedented. Then it's time for new precedents, Admiral Chen said from Luna Station. Humans are excellent teachers, and we're always willing to share what we've learned. But we share as equals, not as subjects. General Rodriguez added, your empire has brought order to 8,000 worlds. But order through force is fragile. Order through cooperation, through mutual respect and shared goals, that's what lasts. Dr. Vasquez activated her cultural database systems. We'd like to learn about your species, your history, your achievements. In return, we'd be happy to share ours. Real cultural exchange, not conquest. The silence that followed was different from the earlier tension. It was the silence of beings reconsidering everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and their place in it. Finally, Overlord Kithera spoke. Ambassador Zexthal, prepare a full report for the Imperial Council. Include everything we have observed about human capabilities and philosophy. This situation requires consideration at the highest levels. What will you tell them? President Santos asked. Kithera's six eyes met hers through the communication link. That we have encountered a species unlike any other in the galaxy. A species that cannot be conquered, only befriended. And perhaps the Empire needs to learn what that means. As the immediate crisis passed and diplomatic channels opened, Commander Blake looked out at the stars with new understanding. Humanity had passed its first test as a spacefaring civilization. They had shown that they could defend themselves while maintaining their principles, that they could be strong without being cruel. The galaxy had just learned that when someone told Earth, No wasn't an option. Humans had a simple response: watch us. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in human history, that future included the stars. And humanity was ready to explore them, not as conquerors, but as the stubborn, creative, determined species they had always been. The Nexus Empire had come to Earth expecting another easy conquest. Instead, they found teachers, and perhaps, eventually, friends. It was a lesson that would echo throughout the galaxy for generations to come.